Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with Pro Wrestling Logic, and we are here for the NXT In Your House review. I haven't been here in a couple of days. Hopefully, this week things will even out a little bit better, but with my work schedule, I never know. Doing my best to get those TNTs done for you, and doing the best to get the weekly shows reviewed, at least so they're in the archive for you, even if they're a few days late from time to time. In any event, the NXT Takeover event was interesting. I'm actually considering, and please comment and like and subscribe and all that good stuff, but I'm considering doing all of the takeovers in a playlist for folks who maybe you haven't followed the evolution of NXT. Maybe you just started watching when they went on cable. Maybe you've taken some time off, and it'll be quite a while before I get to every weekly episodic NXT forever. There's like 500 of them, but there's only like 30 or 35 takeovers. So I'm thinking of doing a takeover review series. Let me know if that's something you'd be into. Anyway, for the first time since 1995, the In Your House franchise is going to be, or was used this evening. The um, the interesting thing here is Todd Pettengill was part of the festivities for the night, which was really actually kind of cool. I was majorly into that. A cool nostalgic surprise. That'll tell you the state of wrestling broadcasting when I popped for Todd Pettengill, because back in the day when I was a kid, I did not appreciate him, but his voice sounded familiar. It brought me back to a time of childhood. It was cool, and I would have rather listened to him with, what is it, Todd Phillips, or whatever his name is, and Beth Phoenix, and get Mauro out of there. And I know that's not going to be popular, but for my taste, Mauro Ranallo screams too much. I used to like him. I did enjoy him when he first got there, but whether it's the way he's being produced or just he's phoning it in or he's being told to act in a way that doesn't fit his natural personality and cadence, I'm not a fan of where he is now. And there are times when I'm watching NXT or during a match, I'll actually hit mute on the TV just because his announcing just doesn't do it for me. Not attacking the guy personally. He's very good at what he does when he has a product that he can work with and build. I suspect his yelling is encouraged, but it's not for me. Anyway, also not for me is the Code Orange performance of a metal song. Music of some way. Um, I'm sorry. I must be old. At almost 40, I must be old because to me, this was noise pollution. It was loud. It was obnoxious. It was not something I would want to listen to again if you paid me $50,000. Um, eh. And to bring a band in to do an opening with no crowd, I just don't get it. Anyway, um, I like the fact that the takeovers are concise and every match matters. I'm really confused, to be honest with you, about um, the order of matches tonight. I'll get to why as we go through the review, but suffice to say, the women's championship, NXT championship triple threat went on last, which means the NXT men's championship and the North American championship went on before that, and the Killian Cross match was right before the main event, and the order of matches struck me as really weird. Um, Maybe it's just me being picky, but it didn't make sense to me. So they've designed our venue to look like the old In Your House set from the 90s. It was cool. It was actually cool working. Um, so the mock fans chanted, "This is awesome," at the early spots in the opening match, which was the women's six-man tag: Mia Yim, Shotzi Blackheart, who I love, Tegan Knox, and they were successful in defeating Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Just a few, before I do the blow by blow, just a few notes or thoughts here. Mia Yim, I think, is someone they could do more with. I don't know what roster she belongs on, but I think they're underusing her. Shotzi Blackheart, I'm going to love regardless. I like the tank thing. I like her fire. I like her cadence in promos. I like a lot about her and wish they would do more with her. Tegan Knox, I honestly haven't seen enough of to have a strong opinion on. Same with Dakota Kai. Both of them kind of fall under the radar for me. Candice LeRae I saw in various independents, and I think she's a lot better than a lot of people give her credit for. Could see her being called up to the main roster sooner rather than later. Although I don't think her and Johnny Gargano want to do that, so that may not happen. Raquel Gonzalez, for the first time I see something in her. Beth Phoenix made a reference to her, reminding her of China tonight. And I saw when she said that, it wasn't something I thought of naturally, but now that she said that, I do see where she's got that, that vibe. Yim and LeRae are first in, but Candice doesn't want to tie up. Gonzalez in next. Knox and Kai were probably the most in sync with each other throughout this. I'm not emotionally invested in either one. They strike me as two levels above enhancement talent. So they have something, and perhaps if I followed their whole feud or their evolution, I would be invested. But because I came in really late, I'm not invested in them, and they, in matches, don't do a heck of a lot to get that investment going. So then Kai is a good heel. Blackheart does a dive to the floor, but Gonzalez does the old China ragdoll spot on the floor. Yim with a dive. Then Candice does a springboard plancha. Again, I'll say it every week until we go back to having people. I'm not a fan of dives even when there's people, but I'm really not a fan of dives when there's not. It is foolish to me to have matches that are the same as though there's people in the crowd. Does not make sense. Anyway, Knox does a senton from the top onto all wrestlers. Kai and Gonzalez go after Blackheart in the ring. Blackheart takes the majority of the heat for the match. Blackheart finally tags out to Yim, and Yim hits a Bridging Dragon suplex for a near fall. Candice hits a release German, and they then go out of the ring for a bit. After the match, Gonzalez uses a falling powerbomb on Knox and Candice, or not after the match, but after Candice is out of the way. Yim and Candice end up fighting on the floor into the backstage area. Blackheart and Knox to take out Gonzalez, then pinned Dakota Kai with the shiniest wizard knee strike. Yay. Okay, so we move on to the second match, Finn Balor, who I love your comments. I consider Finn Balor to be at least one of the top 3 wasted talents in WWE in the last 10 years. I think he could have been so much more, and I understand he had the injury in 2016. I think it was 16, when he first won the Universal Championship. But you could have rebuilt him. You could have relaunched him. The Damian Priest thing, I still don't get it. Could somebody in comments explain his gimmick to me? He can be led to a good match, but a lot of people are in love with the guy, and I don't get the hype. I don't understand why I'm supposed to care. I don't understand why people think he's a standout guy. It's just he's there. He's a mid card, uh, good hand, and I that's what I see. So anyway, Balor jump starts the match with a shotgun dropkick early. Priest goes to the floor. The bell is rung after this takes place. Priest is able to shift the momentum, and he starts throwing the steps around. Uh, he sidewalk slams Balor into the apron, and then Balor is really trying his best to sell his butt off to get Priest over. It doesn't work because you haven't established him as having something meaty to do behind an interesting DJ level voice and some average to above average wrestling skills. There's no character there, really. So Priest taunts Balor, and Balor comes out with a jawbreaker. Um, they go back to the floor. Balor hits a bunch of stomps. Priest used a Falcon Arrow on Balor, and Balor rallies back with a double stomp, and then Priest does a jump on the apron, and then hits a razor's edge onto the edge of the apron, which looked really painful. Balor makes what is his third or fourth comeback in the match, and takes Priest out with a sling braid. Priest counters with some kicks, and then Balor goes for the coup de grace off the top. Priest grabs him by the throat, climbed the ropes, and did a sit-out chokeslam for a near fall. Hey, anybody been around long enough to remember when a Sid chokeslam was a finish? Anybody been around long enough to when it looked like Vader used to like break guys in half with power bombs and chokeslams, and now they're near falls? Guys, wrestlers, men and women, you don't have to do everything every single match to get over. This is basic logic. Anyway, that is my phone, and so I will be back momentarily. All right, and back we go. Work calls and those things happen. But anyway, so we move back into the Damian Priest match. Um, um, Mentioned the choke slam and the challenges there. So I mean, there's anticipation of another Razor's Edge on the floor, and Balor escapes, kicked him. Priest is on the floor. Um, then Priest lands in with the lower part of his back on the steel steps. Ouch. Um, then Balor comes up and takes him back in the ring, puts him away with the coup de grace, and Balor stares him down after the match. Thankfully, this match is over, and the right guy wins. Then we see probably what I consider to be one of the better matches of the night, behind the women's match, which I think was the best of the night, but Keith Lee and Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American Championship. Um, so there's a picture of Doc Hendricks hanging on the wall of the house set, which I think was kind of funny. So Keith Lee has a acknowledgement of Black Lives Matter on his tights in pink and red lettering, or I'm sorry, pink and black lettering, which I guess is kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. It's a difficult. it's a difficult thing. Where do you draw the line with politics and entertainment? And I think every athlete, every entertainer, every celebrity has to make that decision. And I support anyone for whatever decision they make. I think there's backlash for speaking out. There's backlash for not speaking out. There's backlash for everything. So if that's what he's at peace with, then he should go forth and do that. Anyway, so Lee hits kicks early. Gargano couldn't get the advantage he wants. He rolls to the floor. Um, Gargano gets in a few sneaky shots on the floor. He tries to kick him in the head, but misses. He kicks the steel steps. Those steps are getting a lot of work tonight. So Gargano runs away, and he tries to go back to the house, which we suppose is locked. Lee keeps up, and Gargano does a great job of kind of making Keith Lee look really strong here. And then we see Lee with on the receiving end of a Cobra clutch. Lee stepped to the side out of the way of a spear and drops a knee on Gargano to get things going back his way. They go trading forearms and strikes and all that stuff. Lee hits a pop-up powerbomb, or tries to, but gets caught in an armbar. Lee uses a rampage bomb to break the hold. He takes the challenger's head off with a lariat and gets a near fall. Gargano counters the Big Bang Catastrophe into a sunset flip near fall. There is a choke slam here by Lee. Gargano finally spikes Lee headfirst into the floor with a tornado DDT, but he can't get the big man back in the ring. He might have wanted to bring a forklift because moving Keith Lee, if Keith Lee were unconscious, I would assume would be a difficult task. Anyway, so Gargano rolls in the ring, breaks up the count, and Gargano goes back to the floor, and Lee is back up. He uses a pounce, and that sends Gargano flying through the plexiglass at ringside. Candice comes out, distract Lee. Mia comes out, and they fight with each other. Gargano gets the keys keys to the eye spot again, near fall, and Gargano super kicks Lee in the head, another near fall, spirit bomb, and then power bomb into the Big Bang Catastrophe for a decisive win for Keith Lee, who holds on to the North American Championship. Really, really good match. Glad that Lee held on. We then go to the Velveteen Dream, Adam Cole backlot brawl thing. I wasn't looking forward to this. Please, somebody in comments, tell me why I should care about Velveteen Dream. I have seen him be carried to good matches. I have seen him have average matches otherwise. I do not understand why he is in a main program in any way. I just don't get it. So somebody please explain to me in the comments what I'm missing. Adam Cole comes out in a big truck. He cuts a promo on the truck, and Velveteen Dream drives up in a Lamborghini. I guess there's two things I don't like about Velveteen Dream, and it goes down to his name. Velveteen, I think Velveteen Rabbit, like the kid's story, and Dream, I think Dusty Rhodes. And he does not make me think of a bunny or the son of a plumber, so I don't... The name doesn't work. The gimmick of being a Prince knockoff doesn't really work for me, and his in-ring work is passable if he's being led, but not great otherwise. So I don't see the big deal. Anyway, so Dream is carrying a baseball bat. So then they do the ring in the center circle of parked cars. Car lights were used to light up the ring. Spotlight shining down. Cole goes to smash Dream with the belt before the match. Dream goes for a near fall instead. Cole shouts he's leaving, rolls out of the ring. Dream started hitting the car with a baseball bat till Cole gets out. They're brawling all around. An SUV rolls up. Somebody says, "Did anybody order an Uber?" Dream tries throwing Cole onto the Uber vehicle, but ended up on the ground. The Uber was going after this. I don't get the "did anybody order an Uber" thing. Anyway, so walk and talk and brawl, and Cole escapes from the lot. Dream shouted for him to come out wherever he is. Cole doused Dream with a fire extinguisher spot, and Cole yells at Dream, called him stupid. I guess maybe harkening back to the Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston thing from years ago. Dream comes back, hits a double axe handle off the apron. Dream brings out a ladder, and Undisputed Era comes out. They show up in a car of their own. They go after the Dream, who's still on the ladder at this point, and they do the old throw chairs into the ring, the ECW spot from the arena in like 94, 95. Cole's arm is all scratched up and bleeding and filled with glass. And Dream hits the Dream Driver for a near fall. Dream lands the Purple Rainmaker for a near fall his own. Cole lands a low blow, which comes out of nowhere. Trash talks him. He hits the Panama Sunrise onto a pile of steel chairs for the win. Cole celebrates. He says no one can beat him for this. No one will ever beat him for this. I'm so glad that Velveteen Dream did not win. It would have been a dead end and bad for the brand. While people may be tired of Cole, he should be passing the torch when he is ready to somebody who can carry the brand. And there's my phone again. And Velveteen Dream is not that. We then move into the Todd Pettengill review, I guess, best way to put it. Not review, but he does his old 1-900 segment from back in the day. It's an ad for the online shopping. DX appears like they didn't know how to use a computer. It's campy comedy, whatever it is. Killian Cross with Scarlett Bordeaux up next versus Tommaso Ciampa. Surprising here. Cross goes over huge, which surprised me. I mean, I wasn't surprised that he won, but just how decisively he did, that did shock me a bit. So Ciampa lands elbows early. Cross doesn't even acknowledge them. He hits a front kick into the face of Ciampa. Cross lands in the corner with a Uranagi-style suplex. Cross picks up Ciampa on the floor and slams him into the apron. Cross uses power quite a bit and an overhead head and arm suplex. Knees in the corner. Morrow makes a UWFI reference from the 90s, kind of a blended shoot style reference, which kind of cool, but it doesn't hit with this crowd. Ciampa tries to chop his way out, but he can't do it. He does able to hit a running knee into the face of his opponent and then tries pinning him after draping DDT for near fall. Inverted F5 from Cross, which interesting that they're letting somebody use the F5. And then Cross Jacket, which is a modified neck crank submission maneuver. Referee calls for the bell. And Killian Cross is a decisive winner. And then, it's definitely an interesting thing to be pushing him this hard. In any event, main event time, Io Shirai, Charlotte Flair, and Rhea Ripley. And I am going to be very unpopular, but Rhea Ripley, to me, has gone as far as she's going to go. I don't see what other people see as far as her being a main event women's star. I think she's a very capable, talented person, but main event she is not. Io Shirai, however, really steps up here, and Charlotte's one of my favorite women, probably of all time. So this three-way, which I'm not a fan of three-ways, I'm a fan of the old ECW three-way dance elimination style, not the first pin. But the first pin works for the finish here. Flair is out, rolls to the floor, and insisted that her opponent start the match. Ripley went after Flair on the floor. Shirai went after Ripley. Match gets underway with everybody chasing after each other. Flair takes over early, hard chops from Flair. She's talking trash, no alliances. Early, Ripley goes for a somersault senton off the apron, but missed. And Flair then smashed Ripley into the barricade. Shirai with the Frankensteiner off the apron and onto the floor on Flair. That looks really good. Flair nails a Boston Crab. Ripley returns to the match and takes out Flair. Shirai hits a 619. And Ripley's on the floor again. That's why I don't like three-ways, because somebody always has to be on the floor for other spots to make sense. Flair is out and about, and she takes Ripley over, and they hit a double spear, 2 counts, double moonsault, takes too long, Ripley moves, and Shirai gets the knees up, and spots and submissions for next several minutes. Shirai hits a springboard drop kick, which is just beautifully executed. Ripley nails the bullet chain. Knee attacks. Shirai gets caught with natural selection. Then locks her in the figure 8 until Ripley drags Flair to the floor. Shirai then lands a beautiful plancha onto Rhea Ripley. Flair uses the monitors on the floor, etc. and so forth. Shirai does a beautiful crossbody from the top of the In Your House set. Amazing dive. One of those going to be, going to be in a highlight package somewhere relatively soon. Shirai tries a Frankensteiner but doesn't get the job done. Ripley blocks, and then Flair boots her in the face. Ripley fights back and lands a riptide on Flair from the ropes, and there's a close 2 count. Ripley caught Shirai in the prism lock. Flair breaks that. Flair comes in with a kendo stick, uses it, whacks both of her opponents with it, puts Ripley into the figure 8, but Shirai goes to the top, lands a moonsault off the top, and pins Rhea Ripley. Flair couldn't break the pinfall. The look of shock on her face when she realizes she lost is phenomenal. Um, it's the match was great, and Io Shirai winning was the right move. It gives fresh matches. It gives intrigue as far as seeing her one on one with both the other two women in the match. It does a lot of cool things. This is a really good wrestling show. Some Wookiee match order booking, but other than that, top to bottom, if you like pro wrestling and you don't like the storyline BS stuff, this is a show for you. Worth going out of your way to see. Until next time, everybody, this is Scott Golden reminding you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time.